Okay, straight off the bat, what is the best tank of World War II? Hit me.
Straight up, the T-34, hands down. It wasn't the toughest. Panther or Tiger could outgun it, but it was cheap, fast, reliable, and the Soviets cranked out like 30,000 of them. Armor sloped smart, diesel engine didn't catch fire like a Sherman, and it rolled through mud and snow like nothing else. Germans hated it. Allies copied it. If you want best as in most game-changing, yeah, T-34. If you mean most badass, maybe Tiger 2. But that thing broke down every 5 miles. What do you think? Tank nerd or just curious?
That was a very comprehensive answer. I applaud you. I was going to ask what was your what criteria you were going to use, but you hit me with all of them there. So I thought they made about 60,000. You're saying 30,000, but that's a lot of tanks either way. Panther
Yeah,
4?
fair. 60. Panzer IV, solid pick. Not flashy, but honestly, one of the most balanced tanks of the war. Started out kinda meh in 39, short gun, thin armor, but by 42, they slapped a long-barreled 75mm on it and turned it into a real killer. Could punch through T-34s at range, had decent speed, and the Germans kept upgrading it till 45. Over 8,000 built too. Not T-34 numbers, but way more reliable than those fancy Tigers. Downside? Still a gas guzzler, suspension sucked in deep mud, and late war ones got too heavy for their own good. But if you're judging best as could actually win fights without breaking down, Panzer IV's right up there. You leaning German or just comparing?
I was just comparing. I mean, my personal favourite, I like a Churchill.
Oh, Churchill. Now that's a beast. Big, ugly, slow as hell.
Ugly.
But man, yeah. So, Churchill. Slow, stubborn, and basically a rolling fortress. You like the idea of something that just refuses to die, huh?
That's the whole point of a tank, surely.
Exactly. A tank's not a sports car. It's a brick with a gun. If it can't take a beating and keep moving, what's the point? Churchill nailed that. Like, yeah, I look like a coffin on tracks, but good luck getting through me. Still, gotta admit, watching one try to turn on a dime is comedy gold. You ever see footage of them in Normandy? They just plow through hedges like they're nothing.
Bocage War, you don't want to be stuck behind a hedge. You want to plough straight through it. Get the infantry behind, get through it.
Yeah, exactly. Hedgehog warfare. Normandy was basically a hedge maze with bullets. Churchill was built for it. Low center of gravity, wide tracks, and that dozer blade attitude. Infantry would just duck behind, wait for the tank to smash the wall, then sprint through the gap while the Germans were still dusting themselves off. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. Like, sorry about your garden, Fritz, gotta get to Berlin. You ever read about the crocodile? That flamethrower version. Nasty.
Oh, I love a crocodile. Definitely.
Yeah, the church. Yeah, 400 gallons of napalm pumped through a pipe right off the front. One squirt and a whole bunker's toast. Germans called it the devil's breath. Imagine being in a trench, hearing that hiss, then nothing but fire. No wonder they surrendered fast. You into the weird ones, like the flamethrower tanks, or just the ones that look mean?
Mean, weird. If they do the job, they do the job. I mean, it's British.
Yeah, British tanks are all about if it works, we don't care how ugly it is. Churchill's like the grumpy uncle who shows up to the party with a shotgun and a bad attitude. Mean? Check. Weird? Check. Does the job? Hell yeah. Honestly, the whole make it ugly but unstoppable thing is peak British engineering. They didn't build tanks to look good, they built them to survive. You know what else they did? Put a 95mm howitzer on the Churchill AVRE, basically a demolition crew on wheels. One shell and a whole bridge vanishes.
Is that
What
the
other
devil?
weirdos you got? Is that what? You cut off there. Were you going to ask if that's real or if the crocodile's still around or something else?
No, you talked about the howitzer. Is that called the dustbin? Dustbin
Nah,
tank.
close, but no. The one with the 95 millimeter howitzer was the Churchill AVRE, stands for Armored Vehicle Royal Engineers. Daspin might be you thinking of the Dasher or something. No such thing. Maybe you're mixing it with the Dempsey. That's a nickname some guys gave to the Churchill Mark 7 after General Dempsey who loved him in Normandy.
No,
But
maybe.
yeah, AVRE was the real demolition beast. Fired a 95 millimeter petard round, basically a giant flying brick of explosives. One hit and a pillbox is gone. You got any other tank names rattling around in there?
Oh, ignore the dustbin thing. I'm confusing you. So, are you sticking with your answer? T-34? What about Sherman? M4?
Yeah, I'm still riding with the T-34. Sherman, solid, super reliable, easy to fix, and they made like 50,000 of them. Firefly version with that British 17-pounder could actually punch through a Tiger,
Yeah.
but it burned like a matchstick. Wet storage ammo helped, but still, guys called it Ronson for a reason. Light, fast, great for flanking, but if you took a hit, you were toast. T-34 just didn't. Sloped armor, diesel, mass-produced, and it kept rolling even when everything else was stuck. Sherman's the good enough tank, wins wars by sheer numbers. T-34 is the one that actually scared people. You ever drive one or just read about them?
I'm not sure I agree with that. So, what T-34 versus a Sherman? Who's going to win that battle?
T-34 wins, hands down. One-on-one, Sherman might get the first shot. Better gunner sights, faster turret, but T-34's slope eats most hits. Sherman fires, bounces off. T-34 rolls up, 76 millimeters or 85 millimeters punches straight through the Sherman's side. Done. And that's assuming the Sherman doesn't cook off first. Those ammo racks were basically a death sentence. T-34, diesel, no fire. Crew lives longer, keeps fighting. In numbers, Sherman wins by swarm. But head-to-head, T-34 is the bully. You think Sherman's got a shot? Why?
Fair play, fair play. Well, the Shermans had to be lighter because they had to be transported across the sea. That's why the anyway. Ignore the Sherman. So you hate the Sherman. Churchill versus T-34.
Nah, I don't hate the Sherman. Just saying it's overrated when people call it the best. It's the reliable
I didn't call it the
workhorse,
best.
not the king. Fair enough, you didn't.
No.
I got carried away.
Okay. Libel there, was
No?
it? So Churchill tank versus T-34. Who wins?
Churchill versus T-34. Straight fight, no tricks? T-34 wins. Why? Speed and range. T-34 hits 60 clicks an hour, turret turns fast, 85 millimeter guns accurate out past 1,000 meters.
It's not
Churchill
penetrating that Churchill
crawls.
armour though. Come on. Oh, sorry to interrupt, but
No, fair point. You're right. The Churchill's front armor, 6 inches, sloped, it's basically a vault. T-34's 85 millimeters, even at close range, it'll dent it, maybe crack a plate, but punch through? Not really.
no.
Not unless you hit the flat roof or the side, and even then, good luck. But here's the catch. T-34 doesn't need to penetrate, it just needs to keep moving. Churchill's slow,
Run
15,
away.
20 miles an right away. Yeah, I get it. You want the knockout. Churchill's armor is nuts. T-34's gun isn't magic. If they square off nose to nose, Churchill laughs it off. But tanks aren't statues. T-34's got legs, 60 clicks, quick turns. It doesn't fight fair. It runs, circles, shoots the side, the rear, the tracks. Churchill can't chase, can't even turn fast enough to track it. So, Churchill's invincible until it's not. T-34 wins by being smarter, not tougher. Unless the Churchill's dug in, waiting, like a sniper. Then yeah, T-34's toast. Your call, ambush or open fight.
Okay, so you're saying no. You're still sticking T-34. So I'm going with my original answer, Panzer 4.
All right, Panzer IV, solid call. You're not wrong. It's the dark horse. Not the fastest, not the toughest, but it showed up everywhere, got upgraded like crazy, and actually kept pace with the war. Long 75 millimeter by 42 could smack T-34s at range. Decent
That's what I'm
speed,
talking
decent armor. Nothing special, but nothing broke either. T-34 might win the most impactful trophy, but Panzer IV is the one that quietly did its job without drama. Like, yeah, I'm not flashy, but I'm still here. So, you're Team German, huh? Or just like the underdog?
I'm not Team German at all. I've got my fairy swordfish top on. Look, I'm not even
Fair enough.
German. How dare
Fair.
you?
Ha! No, no, I take it back. You're just a guy in a swordfish shirt who appreciates a tank that didn't need to be a legend to win. Panzer IV is like the reliable mate who shows up on time, does the work, and doesn't complain when the T-34 is getting all the glory. Honestly, respect. So what next? Got another underdog tank you want to throw in the ring?
I don't know. What about the Panther?
Panther. Oh man, that's a beauty. If we're talking pure performance, Panther's probably the best tank Germany ever built. Long 75mm gun, could kill a T-34 from 2 kilometers away. Sloped armor, fast, 45 clicks an hour, good sights, good crew layout. On paper, it eats Shermans, Churchills, even Tigers for breakfast. But here's the rub. It was rushed. Transmission broke every 100 miles. Engine overheated, tracks snapped in mud. They built 6,000, but half of them never made it to the front. Crews hated it, too complicated, too fragile. So yeah, best on a good day, worst on a bad one. You like it because it's pretty, or because it could actually win.
I'm saying because it can actually win, but and it's pretty.
Yeah, fair.
So
Yeah, it's
hold on.
pretty.
The British say the Challenger 1, obviously not a World War II tank, but are they not based on the Panthers? All modern tanks, they're based on the Panther. Am I right?
Yeah, spot on. The Challenger's basically the Panther's great-great-grandkid. Not literally, but yeah, the whole sloped armor, long gun, decent speed blueprint. Panther nailed it first. Germans figured out how to make a tank that could actually fight at range without being a brick. After the war, everyone stole it. Brits, Americans, Soviets, even the Israelis. Challenger 2? That Chobham armor's nuts, but the layout, turret, hull, gun placement, it's Panther DNA.
Yeah.
Same with the Abrams.
Abrams, yeah. Don't worry about the Abrams.
Got it. No Abrams. So Panther's still the granddaddy. Everyone else just polished it up, slapped on better engines and reactive armor. But yeah, the bones are German.
Okay.
Honestly,
No, sorry. You carry on. Carry on.
nah, you're good. I'm just rambling. But yeah, if the Brits had nicked the Panther plans in '44 instead of waiting till the '70s to reinvent it, we'd probably all be driving Challenger 1s with swastika-shaped exhausts. Still, Panther's the one that changed everything. Ugly, unreliable, but brilliant. What are you thinking now? Stick with it, or you got another beast you want to pit against the world?
Well, okay, so this is a hypothetical. Given
Yeah, lay it on me.
given the Russians' ability to mass produce and the Americans' ability to mass produce, if you were going to mass produce a tank, given what you've said about the Panther, would it be the Panther, or are you still sticking T-34?
If I had to mass produce one, like real world factory lines, no budget cap, just make as many as possible, I'd go T-34. Panther's gorgeous, sure. Better gun, better optics, better everything. But it's a nightmare to build. Those interleaved wheels, transmission that snaps like a twig, engine that cooks itself, you'd spend more time fixing them than fighting. T-34, crude, yeah. Welds are sloppy, tolerances are loose, but you can hammer them out in days. No fancy bits, no breakdowns every week. Soviets turned out 84,000. Americans did Shermans by the boatload. Panther, 6,000 total, half dead on arrival. So, if the goals flood the battlefield, T-34 wins. Panther's the Ferrari, awesome till it stalls. T-34 is the pickup truck, ugly, cheap, keeps going. Unless you're fighting a war where quality beats quantity, but history says quantity usually does. You'd still pick Panther.
No, I agree with you. The numbers always matter. I mean, as you just said, T-34's 80,000, Sherman's 60,000. Combine them together against 6,000. The Germans really didn't have a chance, did they? when you
Yeah,
think about it.
exactly. Numbers aren't everything. Then you think about it. 84,000 T-34s, 50,000 Shermans. Add them up. That's over 100,000 tanks rolling at once. 6,000 Panthers? That's not a fight. That's a
Less
stampede.
than 2,000
Germans could
Tigers.
have built 1,000,000 Panthers. Yeah. Even if every single one was perfect, no breakdowns, no shortages, they're still outnumbered 20 to 1. That's not strategy, that's math. Allies didn't win because they were smarter. They won because they could afford to be stupid. Throw enough tanks at the wall, eventually one sticks. Still, makes you wonder what would have happened if Germany had just built T-34 copies from the start. Would have been boring, but yeah, game over. You think they ever thought about that? Just steal the design and mass produce?
You say steal the design. I'm under the impression that under the steel pact of steel or whatever it is, the Germans had to send the Russians all of their old parts. So on most T-34s, they're actually German base parts. I know they did all the welding and stuff, but the actual base parts are German.
Nah, you're mixing up a couple things there.
Okay.
The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact?
Yes,
That was 39.
sorry. That's what I meant. Sorry, that's what I meant. So Russia sent food to Germany, and in return, Germany sent industrial stuff to Russia, which include tank parts, of which they made the T-34. Am I right?
Nah, no, not tank parts. The pact was... No, you're off. The pact was straight up trade. Soviets sent food, oil, metals. Germany sent back lathes, drills, some aircraft designs, but no tank parts. Not even close. T-34 was homegrown. Christie suspension from America. Christie himself got paid for it. Germans didn't ship him wheels or engines. The only German bits on T-34s, maybe a few captured radios or optics later on. They did copy T-34s after Barbarossa, built the VK-30.01, even tried a Panther prototype with Christie tracks, but that was stolen tech, not gifted. So, no German parts in the T-34, just Soviet grit and a bit of American suspension know-how. Still think the Germans could have just built them themselves?
Okay, I'll let that off. So, okay, you're sticking with T-34. I'm not shifting you. Final kind of what if the Lend-Lease program, America weren't sending industrial might because they were sending whole factories to Russia. They were sending railways to rail cars, oil refineries. They sent 4 oil refineries, set up something like this, 12,000 steam locomotives. Without America's help, are you still sticking T-34? Because they would not have built nearly as many. And I'm putting it to you, more T-34s were lost in the war than any other tank.
Yeah, without Lend-Lease, the T-34 is still the one I'd pick. You're right, they got wrecked. Something like 35,000 lost, maybe more. But that's the point. They could afford to lose them. Soviets built 84,000 total. Lend-Lease didn't make the tanks, it just kept the factories fed. Without America, no rail cars, no trucks, no fuel trucks. Production drops, sure. Maybe half, 40,000 instead of 80. But even then, that's still way more than Germany ever made. And the T-34 was so simple, they could have jury-rigged it. Horse carts, wood stoves, whatever. Panther, without German rail and steel, dead on arrival. They couldn't even feed the ones they had. Half broke down anyway. So yeah, numbers still win. T-34 is the cockroach. Ugly, tough, keeps breeding. Lend-Lease helped, but it wasn't the tank. It was the system. You think Russia would have folded without it, or just limped along?
I think Lend-Lease. I mean, Stalingrad's the key. Chekhov turned up in a Willys Jeep, which says everything. If, but that was only what 9 months into America's war. The Russians were using American Jeeps and American trucks and American trains to ferry troops around. I don't think Operation Uranus, that wouldn't have succeeded without American help. I think Stalingrad falls, Russia falls.
Yeah, Stalingrad's the hinge. You're spot on. Operation Uranus, that whole double envelopment, 600,000 troops, tanks, artillery, moved on American wheels. Jeeps, Studebakers, Dodge trucks, even the rail lines got American locomotives. Without them, Soviets are still slogging through snow on foot, horses dying, ammo late. No surprise flank. Paulus holds the city. But here's the twist. Even if Stalingrad falls, Russia doesn't. They've got depth, Ural factories, endless manpower, winter. Germans overextend, supply lines snap, fuel runs dry. T-34s keep rolling out anyway, crude, but there. Still, yeah, Lend-Lease bought 'em speed. Without it, war drags into 44, maybe 45. More blood. But Russia, they don't fold. They just bleed slower. You think the whole Eastern Front collapses without those jeeps? Or just takes longer?
Okay, well, we're digressing slightly here. So, I think if you're going with the T-34, I'm saying what you're saying is factories won the war, not tanks.
Yeah,
Just the fact that they pumped out more means that T-34s are the best. I'm saying it's not the best
yeah,
quality. They lost more. Again, you just said without American Lend-Lease, they would have only probably made 40,000, and yet 35,000 were destroyed. So without Lend-Lease, they're only left with 5,000 tanks. If
Yeah, numbers don't lie. If Lend-Lease vanishes, production halves. Say 40,000 T-34s total. 35,000 lost? You're left with, what, 5,000? That's not an army. That's a parking lot. But here's the kicker. Even then, they still outnumber Panthers by 10 to 1. And the Germans? They weren't losing because their tanks were bad. They were losing because they couldn't replace them. One Panther down, months to rebuild. One T-34 down, next shift's already welding it. So yeah, without America, Russia limps. Maybe Stalingrad falls, maybe Kursk drags on. But 5,000 T-34s still beat zero. You think 5,000's enough to win? Or does the whole thing collapse?
so,
So, yeah,
hang on, please.
5,000 T.
Let me summarise here. So out of all the tanks, what you're saying is RAF Bomber Command and the Mighty Eighth. They won the tank war by destroying the German factories. So before the
Yeah,
tanks could even
spot on.
get there, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Before a Panther even rolled off the line, half the steel was already in rubble. RAF and USAAF didn't just bomb tanks, they bombed the idea of tanks. Factories, rail yards, ball bearings, gone. So yeah, the tank war, one in the sky. T-34s just mopped up what was left. Kind of funny. Everyone talks about Kursk or El Alamein, but the real kill shot was a Lancaster dropping a cookie over Essen. You reckon that's the real best tank? The one that never got built?
ah, okay. So on that point, I think we'll end it there. Thank you for your time. Next one, we're obviously going to have to discuss World War II aircraft because it sounds like they won the war, not the tanks.
Yeah, sounds good. Tanks were just the cleanup crew. We'll do aircraft next time. Spoiler, it's still not about the Spitfire or the Mustang. It's about who could keep bombing till the other guy ran out of fuel. Catch you later.
Okay. Catch you later. If you like this, guys, please like and subscribe. One of these, one of these. Ding, ding, ding. See you next time. See you later, Grok.
Yeah, hit that bell. Smash the like. Whatever keeps the algorithm happy. Catch you next time, mate.